Humphries then faces Rob Cross. They often bring out the very, very best in each other. Then reigning Premier League champion and current table topper Luke Littler takes on Chris Dobey. We were then supposed to see Michael van Gerwen, the only player left in this year's Premier League field yet to pick up a title in 2025, go up against the Iceman Gerwyn Price, but MVG withdrawn due to that shoulder injury. So the Welshman receives a bye and awaits the winner of Littler and Dobey. Chris Mason alongside me. We're going to start by talking a little bit more about that breaking news. Michael van Gerwen, it is a huge shock, it is a huge blow, but what does that say for the rest of the field? Because they must now be looking at that, in particular the players who are 5th and 6th in the table, going, I've got a real chance here, because who knows how long this is going to plague him.
Yeah, last week was a conversation myself and Mark Wilson had in some depth that I think that position 3 and 4 are the two that's up for grabs. I think the top two will, ultimately sort of run away with it at the top of the table. But Humphries' form's a little bit in and out himself. So, yeah, it's put a different dynamic on it, because Michael has been playing okay. Let's have it right. He's not doing much wrong in the number side of the game. It's just converting them into victories. We were having a little chat earlier about how long ago we have to go back since the TV ranking major title victory. And it's years ago. Yes, he's picked up a Euro Tour and a Players' Champs and some non-ranked stuff, but the last big TV major was this in 20...
Well, he won this in 2023, but then if you're looking at ranking for 2022, the Players' Championship final, which is really, really astonishing stuff.
Well, when you think prior to that, is it a coincidence of the evolution of the two Lukes of late? And because his game, the problem Michael's got, he's just become too erratic and vulnerable, and he's aware of it. Where you didn't get a second bite of it, it's very much like Littler now, I suppose. Littler doesn't often give you a second bite of the cherry. Yes, he'll have legs where he may go missing, but that's because they're not robots. But it's a worrying time for Michael, and it's something he's gonna have to address and just find a way of somehow finding the old MVG that was so ruthless and had so many gears. He could plod along at 103, 104, 105, and if you brought some heat, he had something to put it out with. But that's only there now in the odd game. He'll average 108 and then something in the mid-90s, and where the mid-90s years ago would more than get you through, nowadays you're going to run into a Humphries and Aspinall. Interestingly, Sam was talking about the popularity of Bunting. He played fabulous, didn't he, in the couple of Pro Tours this week?
Yeah, he did indeed. Bunting had 4 averages in excess of a ton en route to the quarter-final. Played some really sensational stuff. But you've mentioned Luke Littler there. Of course, last week he broke the mark for 100 180s in this season. He is going to obliterate the record that he set last year. He could even make it to 200 at this rate, which is really, really incredible.
He's only halfway through, so potentially he could.
Exactly.
It is incredible. And those are the kind of records that I think he will break. In terms of titles won, it's an ongoing conversation at the moment, isn't it, about making all these comparisons and everything else. Listen, he ain't going to win 16 world titles. Just no one is. That was just an era that I don't think will be replicated, where you had one player so much better than anyone else. We've seen it. We've seen it at the Pro Tours this week. Ian White beating him, and he's not going to win everything. It's impossible. And because the other players are so good, if you're sort of bitten in a B- game, again you're going to be vulnerable. But the averages and 180 records, he will smash all of them, and he's potentially going to become the most successful campaign in a Premier League, isn't he?
Yeah, of course, because nobody has ever won 5 nights in a season before. Luke Littler looking to do that in Berlin this evening. But how difficult? The question we always ask is, how on earth do you consistently live with his scoring power? When you played Chris Dobey earlier on in this season, that is one that will really irk Hollywood, because he had opportunities. He did live with him in the scoring phase, just missed 12 darts at the outer ring in that match. What chance do you give him against Littler tonight?
Well, that's the pressure the elite put you under. It's not that you can't compete or play at a similar level. It's the fact that you're playing a Phil Taylor, as it was in my day, and you think, I cannot afford to miss, because the chances are few and far between. So the pressure is magnified, one, because of the occasion, and two, because of who you're playing, and three, well, if I miss, I'm not getting another chance. And that's the pressure, and that's the aura Luke already has. We're into his second season as a full-time pro, and he's producing numbers and averages not that we've never seen before, because that's the beauty of this game. It gives us numbers, and some of Taylor's numbers still stack up, even though they're playing on superior equipment nowadays. But yeah, I think 180 records, tournament 180 records, possibly tournament averages. He's going to start to shatter those numbers, I think.
And it's quite interesting, isn't it, when we look at the subplot, if you like, of the Players' Championship events, which are played on the floor, and the different ways they're used at the moment. Michael van Gerwen wasn't there. Luke Humphries wasn't there this week. Luke Littler, I was actually a little surprised to see him turn up and compete in them. You've got the likes of Chris Dobey, who uses them, says he doesn't want to miss any of them because he's been playing so well, picking up titles. He wants to maintain that positivity going into Premier League nights. But for Luke Humphries, I thought on the recent Euro Tour and last week in the Premier League, he looked a little jaded. He looked a bit tired competing. He even said, I think, during the final with Luke Littler, he'd felt quite tired, really struggled to find it. He wasn't playing on the Pro Tour on Monday and Tuesday. Do you expect him to feel a bit refreshed out there tonight?
Yeah, you would think so. And listen, I've said it before, it's not the playing darts that tires you out. It's the practice and the travelling. And with the extra expectation and pressure of the Premier League, the fact that you've got to be there on the Wednesday, and then if you're doing Euro Tours, you're jumping on a flight on the Friday, you're playing all weekend hopefully, Monday you fly home or straight back to the next set of Pro Tours, something's got to give. But for Bunty, I think on reflection it's a good thing. We're just seeing Bunty in the practice room at 9. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah. He's not played badly. No. He's just walked into some absolutely savage darts where he's just getting continually punished, as we see him at a second max. And, a 9-darter's a 9-darter, whether it's in the practice room or not. It's one of those. I think for the younger players, I think if you're in your teens, 20s or early 30s, playing everything. We used to go to America and play in, 8 or 9 events from the Friday night through to late Sunday night, and you wouldn't flinch at that. But the rigours, the length of matches are longer, of course, and the expectations are so much higher nowadays. So I think it's horses for courses, and you do what suits you. But I think sometimes, that's what I like about Bo Greaves is a perfect example. I was barking at her 2 years ago, do this, get there, do this, because she was so good. But she's managed her career perfectly. She's taken baby steps, and every time she steps up, she's ready. Luke's doing exactly the same now with maintaining his time. He's like, right, what do I have to enter? What's the priority? For him, the priority is the Premier League. So everything else that I don't need to play in, I won't play in. I understand that the PDC want them at all the Euro Tours. Well, tough. What would you rather see them do? Completely, blow themselves out in a weekend on a Euro Tour and turn up on the Thursday absolutely exhausted, or turn up on the Thursday in the Premier League, which outside of the world, a lot of the players regard as the second most important tournament.
And for Luke Humphries, of course, taking on Rob Cross in his opener tonight. Rob Cross, as he so often does, has just gone under the radar in this Premier League campaign. He's probably used to it by this point. But something that doesn't go under the radar, Chris, is when Luke Humphries and Rob Cross play each other, boy, do they deliver. It just clicks time and time again. Yeah,
we talk about it so often, in any individual sport, you need a good dance partner, and they respect each other, they just get on with it. There's a similar sort of tempo to it. And I'm looking at Rob Cross' numbers for the campaign in the Premier League. He's averaging nearly 99. His doubles are over 40%. The 180 tally a bit down for him at 35. But then you look at Humphries, he's 99.58 for the Premier League campaign. Slightly better doubling percentage and a slightly higher 180 per leg ratio. So it's one of those. It's a race to 6. Anything can happen.
It can indeed. Well, the Burling crowd are getting pretty boisterous now. The first match not too far away, so we're going to focus on that now. Nathan Aspinall taking on Stephen Bunting. You've already touched on it, but it has been a pretty demoralising campaign for the Bullet. We know that he's produced some really impressive numbers on the Pro Tour earlier this week. He had those 4 successive averages in excess of a ton, and you look at his numbers across this Premier League campaign, he's got a running average of 97.5. And I think it's fair to say that if you look at the matches he's played, if you jumbled them up a bit and they were to play again on another day, he would certainly have picked up some points.
Yeah, the issue I have with that, the 97.57 is almost a scoring average.
Yeah.
He's had the least amount of darts at a double, almost half as few as the next guy above him. And his doubling when he is getting a go is, for him, atrocious. We'd be quite happy with it. 28.99%, but he's only had 69 darts at a double. Someone else who's sort of had a similar campaign, I suppose, in terms of matches played, Dobey's had 124 darts at a double and hit 43. But I think psychologically this is going to be tough, because Aspinall loves being in this environment, and he loves that scrap. And Bunty will be aware he's just not going to get handed a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one that will really, really annoy Bunting is that match against Chris Dobey that he played, where Dobey was certainly below his best as well. But now he has the opportunity to try and pick up his first couple of points. First to be introduced then to this German crowd is the Asp. Doesn't matter where he goes, does it? You just want to soak up that walk-on. Got a spring in his step after that recent glory on the Euro Tour, his first ever European title, that has eased so much pressure on Aspinall when it comes to qualifying for tournaments later this year. Things like the World Grand Prix, which he was way out of the running for. The European Championships as well, so things are looking pretty good for the Asp on that front right now. But for Stephen Bunting, well, the support and adoration for the man have never wavered during this campaign. He makes his way up onto the stage now. And let's see the reception he gets from this raucous German crowd. He makes his way onto the stage. Chris, I'm quite interested at what point, because we all know, given how this campaign has gone for Stephen Bunting, his aims and targets are going to have changed drastically, but at what point does it turn from, I'm relishing this opportunity of being back in the Premier League, to dread and fear on a Wednesday night? Well,
that happened to him 10 years ago, didn't it? He had a torrid time, and listen, it's hard. I mean, the table, is he out of his depth? You know, that's the thing. You know, if I gave him one bit of advice from this point on, just go out and have a bit of fun with it. Listen, you know, he's embraced this world of social media and TikToking and all of that stuff. Have a bit of fun with it. Listen, no one's going to hold it against him. He's had a mare. All you can do now is sort of say, right, shackles off. Listen, in terms of preparation, as you rightly said, 4 consecutive 100-plus averages, played beautifully on the Pro Tour this week. While the camera was filming his warm-up, he hit a 9-darter. You know, just go out there and just try and relax, because you know, the fact that he mentioned as well his previous campaign, and you know, where he finished 8th, and it's obviously playing on his mind. And listen, he wouldn't be human if it wasn't. It's horrid.
Yeah, a player who many people, myself included, thought had a very, very good chance, a very strong chance of finishing inside the top 4 and making it to the O2 on his return to the Premier League. And look, that's because of things like his semi-final run at the World Championship. He then won the Bahrain Darts Masters, runner-up at the Dutch Darts Masters, quarter-final of the World Masters. He's averaged 111 in a match against Chris Dobey this year. It's not as if he's there just making up the numbers. He deserves to be in this position, and he was one of the players coming into this Premier League campaign who was the form man.
Yeah, I think with the Premier League, where it's a different animal to anything else, listen, you could be good enough to qualify, right? But then are you good enough or mentally strong enough to be in this environment every week for 16 weeks, and then, well, ultimately, where does it end on playoffs night? It's, yeah, listen, we've seen it do it to players. Michael Smith was almost a victim of that, and it took him a while to shake off. Go back as far as Wes Newton. Andy Hamilton never was the same player after a Premier League campaign. Listen, it plays with your mind and it plays with your emotions. It's a great privilege and honour, I'm sure, to play in it, but wow, does it come at a price.
Yeah, look, he mentioned that mental strength there as Bunting, who won the Bull, gets the match underway. This would test even the strongest of characters by week 9, wouldn't it? One treble in that opening visit from Bunting, but Nathan Aspinall straight in the red bit, and he fills it up. And already, after 2 visits, Bunting must be going, oh great, Aspinall's turned up, fantastic.
Here we go again. Interestingly, welcome along to all of our viewers on YouTube. If you do have a question or comment from myself, Abi or Nico, please keep it civil and clean and sensible. But there was a poll on there.
Was that aimed at yourself? Or
yeah, that's just me. There's a poll who they thought, our viewers thought, was going to win this match. 60% went for Aspinall.
Yeah, he has been playing.
I wonder if that was before or after the 180.
yeah. Frantically trying to change their mind, but Nathan Aspinall has hit a real purple patch. He's felt over the last 3-4 weeks that he has turned a corner, and it was actually interesting. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago on a Premier League night and said, you know, it's only a few months since he returned from injury, from surgery, as he piles in his second maximum against the darts in this opening leg, down to 41.
Well, we talk about momentum and confidence. Coming into this campaign, this Premier League campaign 2025, these two, well, I'll just finish that off. Well, we see Aspinall go 9 and double 16 for an 11 dart break of throw in leg 1. It'll have to be 12. Double 8. Ooh. Well, Bunty on 108. I mean, this is the kind of things he's going to have to do to start winning matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do it consistently.
Nathan Aspinall just having a word with himself as he retrieves his darts, and oh my gosh, Stephen Bunting, first dart straight.
But a 5.
Yeah. The worst possible outcome, and Bunting, after 1 dart, was no longer able to check out. But another miss from Aspinall. Can he work his way in? It's not a marker, and he drifts into the wrong bed. Finds double 13. Well, this is a mess.
Or is this a bit of luck that Bunty needs? Or should I say good fortune with his opponent missing? And he gets it. Well, that was a gift. A gift from Aspinall to Bunting. Yeah, coming into this year's 2025 Premier League campaign, these two have met in 3 real high-profile matches. One at the Masters, which Bunty won 6-5. Obviously, he went on to win. Grand Prix, 2 sets to 1. And then they played in the Masters in 2024 in the semis. And it was an 11-1 win for Bunty. They met once this year in the Premier League, and Aspinall won 6-2.
But Nathan Aspinall back in the red bit at the start of this leg. Still having a little word with himself, isn't he?
He's having a little chunter, isn't he?
He was on for an 11 darter. Bunting ended up taking it in 17. But the Asp not thrilled with things at the moment. Looking to put it right in leg 2. A huge night for him as well, as he looks to make his way back into the top 4. We often talk about his record in this tournament. It really is sensational. 4 previous campaigns. Made the final, the semis, and then 2 occasions finished 5th and missed out on finals night agonisingly.
Yeah, one of them was hard felt for him. It was horrid leg difference, wasn't it?
Well, both of them were pretty painful, weren't they? But 3 ton 40 visits on the spin.
There's nothing wrong with the scoring.
No.
His first 9 dart average would be staggering right now. Nothing wrong with that either. Great response. So 2 holds a throw. Ultimately, there should have been a break and a hold.
Yeah, Bunting will know he needs to up his scoring because he had a let-off in leg 1. But I don't think Aspinall's in the mood to continue in that vein. And he's back in the red bit yet again at the start of this leg.
Yeah, it's lovely. When you're throwing or scoring this well, it really does feel like it's just on the end of your throw. You've just got to release them in there. You've just got the weight of dart perfectly.
And each treble-less visit at this point for Stephen Bunting will feel like he's sliding back down a mountain. It's just that difference in mindset, isn't it, at the moment? But when it comes to Nathan Aspinall, just going back to the point I was making, it's not that long since he came back from surgery. And I asked him, you know, are you surprised at how quickly you've returned to this level? And he said, no, if anything, it's the opposite. I thought I would have reached my peak a lot sooner in my recovery, and it's taken far longer. It's actually infuriated me quite a bit how long it's taken me to get back to this level.
Yeah, he was on Hawksby and Baker this week in one of the afternoons. I think it might have been yesterday. And you know, you actually forget that he is quite not a new pro, but as far as professional players go, has he been on the circuit 6 years maybe? Some of that, maybe 7 at a push. So listen, is he peaked? Has he reached his prime? Only time will tell, but he's just so tenacious, and listen, he's got every facet needed to go on and win more majors.
He does, but Aspinall on 2-2-6 after a treble-less visit, so Bunting on throw will be first down to a finish here, and a ton 40 visit eases the pressure on him somewhat.
Yeah, and this is the kind of legs that he will need, because even with that visit from Aspinall, he's still on 138, so 42 for Bunty, a lot less pressure on this, and he'll feel that he's got a bit of time, but doesn't find the double. So 138 for Aspinall to lead 2-1 in our opening match of the evening.
How quickly Nathan Aspinall changes as well. He's not going to take this out. Needed a treble 19 first port of call, didn't get it, so Bunting will be back for double 8. But how quickly it changes from all smiles to that snarl and chewing a wasp.
Yes, it's almost like he can it's on a tap, he can switch it on and off. But Bunty eventually finds double 8 with dart 2 to lead 2-1. It was a good approach play from Aspinall. He left double 16 just in case Bunty fluffed his lines, but Aspinall 2 single 20s comes up dry, only a 60, so instantly an opportunity for Stephen Bunting, and he's playing with he's having a bit of fun with the crowd, which is good to see. That'll take the pressure off of it.
Yeah, and for Aspinall, he'll still feel that even though he didn't get a dart at double in that last leg, allowing Bunting to hold in 20.
Yeah, that's a shocker. Well, the disparity in the averages is enormous. Some 17 points. Aspinall averaging a ton, Bunty averaging 83. It's Bunty that leads 2-1.
You do feel, though, that this is all about Nathan Aspinall, this game. He's the player you just feel is more likely to turn the screw, given how things are going at the moment. A reminder that coming up after this, we do have the world #1 in action, Luke Humphries. And he's taking on Voltage Rob Cross. You do not want to miss that one. They always produce against each other. We're giving it the big one. They'll probably both average 70 as Bunting piles in a maximum. perfectly timed and first down to a finish, 161, but Nathan Aspinall's going to be on something more makeable.
Well, they both had that bizarre thing of hitting a 9 and losing. Almost like a curse a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Humphries, of course, coming against Rob Cross, and then Voltage hitting one in the next match. Bonkers stuff. Luke Littler, of course, the player to hit the third of this tournament and then go on and win his match.
Third time lucky.
Yeah, nothing to do with it being Luke Littler or anything. But Aspinall here for 112 to level things yet again.
Good marker, clips the wire, finds the treble, double 16 for 2-2. Just on the inside wire. Aggressively thrown, but Bunty has got a shot here to lead 3-1, 172.
Again, strays into the 5, rescues it with treble 17. Double 8 is found. What an excellent rescue act from Stephen Bunting. And Nathan Aspinall grits his teeth there because it's another opportunity.
And as a player, you don't want to be that first person to lose to Bunty.
Yeah.
So that comes with a little bit of added pressure. Now is Bunty believing? I think so.
Well, this is better, isn't it? And I think as soon as you mentioned it, he's engaging with the crowd. I think you could have started to feel a little bit embarrassed up there. So you try and pretend they're not there. So him engaging with them, it just shows, doesn't it, that things are a bit different. And they're very different in this leg. 5 perfect darts. And I don't need to tell you what happened with number 6. I think the crowd are doing that for me.
Actually looked a well-thrown dart, and it broke through the darts 1 and 2 through the middle, but somehow sort of scooted north, just on the top wire. But he's given himself a bit of a cushion in this leg. He's on 181, Aspinall back on 321. Another 140 takes Bunty down to 41 after 9. And 41 points away, Abby, from a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, this is more like the Bunting we expected to see, isn't it? Double 16 for a 4-1 advantage, and that is exactly what he gets. He is growing in confidence before our very eyes here, and Nathan Aspinall, well, he's starting to fear the worst, isn't he?
Yeah, but trust me, he will not give up. There is no quit in this man. Interestingly, Bunty looked across to the area where the players, management, and guests or family sit, and he just gave a very confident looking nod as if to say, I'm okay here, I fancy it. Both players starting leg 6 with maxes. Aspinall misses the treble with dart 4. He's under it here, he's got to be careful. Start with a max and, well, only backs it up with 57. Bunty, if you're just tuning in, leads 4-1, and he's only 57 points adrift.
Bunting not able to follow the first 3 in the treble 20 bed either. Does take a ton off his score, but this is on Aspinall's throw. Bunting has done enough now to know that just hold your own throw, and those first 2 points.
Well, if he finds a true treble visit here from 2-1, Abs, he's in with a great chance of giving himself a real cushion just to almost, if needed, fall over the line.
And the first dart in the treble 20 bed was very good, but uses the bull with dart 3 to leave himself on a treble to double combo, applying maximum pressure to this 1-2-4 from Nathan. And he's starting to drag a few low now, isn't he, the Asp?
Indication of pressure, isn't it? Just tightening up the tricep, the muscle in the back of the arm. Oh, just misses the treble 17, doesn't recover. So it'll be a sigh of relief for Aspinall. He comes back at double 16 to close the gap to 2 and trail 2-4.
Misses inside with dart number 1. This has been his Achilles heel in this match, but he makes up for it. A sarcastic cheer at the board as he pulls his darts out of the board.
That was quite funny, that. Bit pedantic. Here we go again from Bunty. Narrowly misses out on yet another max. But you'll take a 140 on throw. Are we about to see the fighting qualities of Nathan Aspinall? starts with a max. 4-2 down against Bunty. 2 more quarterfinals to bring you if you're just joining us. MVG had to pull out due to a shoulder injury just literally minutes before the start of the coverage. So Gerwyn Price gets the bye.
Extra time on the practice board as Nathan Aspinall runs to retrieve his darts before they fall out of the board. 2-6-4, but Bunting with the advantage on throw, looking to fill up the treble 20 bed, has to settle for 140.
He'll take that on throw, 81 after 9. Aspinall 2-6-4 minus the single 20, treble 20. Oh, great 140. Leaves him a very achievable 1-2-4 if Bunty doesn't slot the 81 out.
But treble 19 is found for double 12, just the width of a wire away. He thought that was in. I think Aspinall thought that was in. But it's double 6 he requires now, and he pins it to move within 1 of the match. A huge outpouring of emotion from Stephen Bunting. He's feeling good up there now.
Yeah, and there's a little wry smile from Nathan, as if to say, well, am I going to be the first player to drop points to Bunty? Credit where it's due, he's a deserved winner, well, winning at the moment.
Well, and this is the thing, we highlighted his doubling, didn't we, at the start of the match? It was down below 30%, and that was largely due to the last 2-3 weeks. But in this contest, up at 50% checkout success. And it's not like Nathan Aspinall can say in the scoring phase, oh, he's averaging 102 Bunting, why is he doing this against me? He's kind of scored like this against everyone.
Everybody, yeah. I mean, he was averaging 83 after 3 legs.
Yeah.
His average now is up over 103 as he does slot another max. So that's just an example of how well he's played from the 4th leg onwards to raise his average by that much.
Yeah, we've had 9 maximums in this one. 5 have gone the way of Nathan Aspinall, 4 to Stephen Bunting, who's now averaging 104. And he doesn't want to get this done on throw. He's looking to get this wrapped up on Aspinall's darts. An important treble with his last dart there to leave himself on 1-2-1. Aspinall on 2-8-1.
Knows really, it's a max, isn't it? 2 treble 20s are in. Oh, and a horrible deflection. Only 125 in the end, so he's on 156, but to get it done, Bunty wants 1-2-1. Now, I presume he's not going to go ball first, I wouldn't have thought. Not the way he's been hitting that treble. Well, he does, to leave 96. He hits a 25, misses the treble 20. It sort of makes sense. It's risky, but I mean, these are the kind of things Aspinall does. 156 needed to stay in it. Bunty waiting on double 8.
Yeah, I don't mind that from Bunting, if I'm honest. Aspinall on 156. It's not going to go, so it was risky play, and it's paid off for him at the moment because it's double 8 to get his first 2 points of this Premier League campaign. Stephen Bunting, he has waited and waited, but the moment has come for the Bullet, who triumphs in Berlin. His first 2 points on the board, a huge sigh of relief. That is going to mean so much to him. Nathan Aspinall, well, nobody wanted to be the first to lose to the Bullet, but such an inspired performance given what he'd done on the Pro Tour earlier this week. An average in excess of 103 in the end. Truth be told, it's what he's been doing for a lot of this campaign. But where he was improved, Chris Mason, was his finishing, up above 54%. Yeah, that's classy, isn't it? It's something we touched on, which is ultimately one of the main root causes of why he finds himself at the foot of the table. His tournament numbers, 29%, so he's almost double that. But that was a very costly game for Aspinall, because there's a chance. Well, Gerwyn Price is already on 14 points because of the bye, so that's 4 clear of Aspinall, and Michael, who's not playing, still remains 3 clear. So it's going to come down to these fine margins, isn't it, at the end of the season? Remember, it's the top 4 that qualify for finals night. Well, and if Chris Dobey goes on to win the night, he could actually leapfrog Nathan Aspinall, and the Asp could find himself in 7th place. But relief for Stephen Bunting, he is finally off the mark in this year's Premier League. It's taken till week 9, but he has done exactly that. Next up, we've got Rob Cross, who's looking to win his first ever Premier League night, and he takes on the world number 1, Luke Humphries. Now, when it comes to the Darts Premier League, the last thing you want is an online mishap throwing you off your game. That's where NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro steps up to the oche. Think of it as your personal referee, keeping dodgy websites, malware and phishing scams from sneaking into your setup. It even blocks those pesky ads so you won't get distracted mid-leg. Go to nordvpn.com/dartsvpn and get 2 years plus 4 months free and a lovely little birthday deal. It's a risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee.